again, at this time, I want to welcome you here to Focus on Liberia. Thank you. And I want to welcome you here to Focus on Liberia. My name is Ansony Sieh, and I want to welcome you to our program, The Hour of Politics. I am your host for this program, The Hour of Politics. And as the name suggests, we are about to talk about politics. Our topic is the CDC and the 2020 Senatorial election in Montserrado County. We are going to go into this topic and we're going to talk about every aspect about the CDC, especially, and its role in the senatorial by election. Is the CDC contesting? Of course, the CDC will be contesting. Does the CDC have the candidates to march against the CPP presumptive candidate or the incumbent or Darius Dillion? And we want to know why is it taking the CDC this long to select a candidate to put against Darius Dillion. We also want to know whether there will be other candidates that will be running in this upcoming election in Montserrado County because in the past election, as you well know, there were other candidates like Kimmy Weeks and I think it was Mandela Cooper. These people also took part in that election. Will that be the case today? And we will be defining the CDC. What is the CDC as a political party? When we say CDC, is it the Coalition for Democratic Change or is it the Congress for Democratic Change? Do we still have the Coalition for Democratic Change? Do we? Or is just the Congress for Democratic Change? These and many other things we will be discussing on the Hour of Politics. So I want to encourage you to stay with me, stay tight, and share the show, and let us get started. The music we brought to you, my understanding is a Liberian. It was just something to get us in the mood. I think the dance was splendid. That is cultural. That is entertainment. And I think it's something that we should all appreciate because my understanding is it's Liberian and it's entertainment. You know, sometimes we need to entertain ourselves with music and beat down our stress level because what I have come to understand is that sometimes these issues as they unfold try to raise our mental tension, and music is that piece, is that thing, is that medicine, in my opinion, that can help to beat down our mental tension. And so, folks, I don't want to waste your time. Don't waste my time also by sharing the show, and let us get started. So, again, our topic is the CDC and the 2020 senatorial election in Montserrado County. We are restricting it to Montserrado County right now. So, for us, first of all, let's understand what is CDC, the acronym CDC. What is it? I know many of you people know it's the Congress for Democratic Change. It also means the Coalition for Democratic Change. But what I want to get to you here is the acronym CDC operating and functioning as the Coalition for Democratic Change or the Congress for Democratic Change. Whichever one you think it is, or if you think both are, if you think both are the interpretation that apply, then how? What can you point to? This is all I have in package for you and the many other things I said earlier. So CDC we know has been a political party. That is the Congress for Democratic Change. Prior to the election, they went into a merger. Prior to the election, the CDC went into a merger. Let me know if you can still hear me. I heard something move. Let me know if you can still hear me here. Maybe I should get rid of the headset. And I don't want that to be a problem, so let me correct that quickly. Let me correct that quickly so we can continue. All right, I believe that is correct. So as I was saying, the CDC as a political party went into a merger with other political parties and produce something they call the Coalition for Democratic Change. So we're talking elections, right? Yes, we're talking elections. So how has the CDC been operating as the Coalition for Democratic Change? In previous elections, all right, we noticed that the other political parties that are within the collaboration, which is called the Coalition for Democratic Change, those parties have now been able to select a candidate to run on the ticket of the Coalition for Democratic Change. Why is that? Is it because the coalition, as they continue to talk about, was only intended for the gone general and presidential election that were held in 2017? I just want to know. Because what I have seen, and we all have seen, even the election that Darius Dillion won, the other political parties that are part of the Coalition for Democratic Change did not participate in any primary that selected Paulita Wie to contest. And then we did not see any primary in the Coalition for Democratic Change again in the election that a guy who we heard was a sedition but was not selected by the CDC, or John J. Weah was selected by the CDC. That guy won that election. Again, the Coalition for Democratic Change. Those parties that made a coalition had no contribution, did not participate in any primary process leading to the selection of John J. Weah. And that is why I'm asking the question, what is actually the CDC? Is it the Congress for Democratic Change or the Coalition for Democratic Change? Now, this is important for us to understand, because as we go further into the conversation, you will see the significance of what I'm bringing this piece. So the CDC need to tell us how will they be going further in other elections that will be coming up. Will they be going at the Coalition for Democratic Change? If they will be going as the Coalition for Democratic Change, then we want to see primaries with the participation of the other political parties. We would like to see that, because that's the essence of collaboration. If you are having a collaboration of multiple parties, those parties must be involved in the political process. There must be a political competition in selecting candidates to run on the ticket of the Coalition for Democratic Change. But anybody will think and agree with me that immediately after the election, those CDC continue to use Coalition for Democratic Change, the CDC metamorphosized immediately to the Congress for Democratic Change. My evidence is the two elections I talk about, in which members of the collaborating political parties making the Coalition for Democratic Change did not participate in any primary whatsoever. So you see my point. So going forward, if the CDC is sincere that they have a collaboration, then they need to tell us whether that collaboration was only intended for the 2017 presidential election, and immediately after that election, there's no collaboration, then they need to let us know. All right. If that collaboration ended with that election, we need to know, because they continue to say they are the Coalition for Democratic Change. They continue to say that. So if we should believe them, then they need to show that in their political decision making, especially when it comes to elections. When there are elections coming up, if they are still a coalition, then they need to allow the other political parties that make up the Coalition for Democratic Change to participate in the necessary primary processes leading to the selections of a candidate to run on their ticket as the Coalition for Democratic Change, and not the CDC. But what we have seen, it has been the CDC in two separate elections now that I know about for a fact. So we need to get that clear out of the way. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about the CDC now as a political party. The CDC as a political party. Do you believe the CDC is a political party in the true meaning of what a political party is supposed to be? Because what we know about a political party is an organization, a political organization of many individuals with leadership structures that have decision-making processes that must be followed to arrive at a decision. We are talking about this because the CDC is the government in power today, and they must be able to exemplify leadership in every respect. That is the only way they will earn our respect, because you all know about this saying that practice made perfect, that whatever you do in your home is what you take on the outside. So historically, how has the CDC as a political institution been making decisions? As a political party or as a political party should be? I want to know, and we need to know, because the CDC, luckily, maybe to their credit, they fought, but I believe that the elections, more so, they got a huge support from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, makes significant effort in giving the elections to the CDC. By giving, I mean she contributed to the CDC election enormously. We saw that during the election seasons. She was seen where we are cutting ribbons, make contribution to the CDC, something that I know for a fact. And so that's what I mean. And so we really need to know what has been the decision-making processes of the CDC as a political party. And now as a ruling party, has the CDC been making decisions as a political institution, or it has been this so say one, so say all kind of thing? We really, really want to know. So my understanding My understanding of the CDC is that the CDC has been operating more like a so say one, so say all kind of operation. And so if it is a so say one, so say all kind of operation, I guess the next thing you want to know is, then who is that man, that one person who whenever he says this, then everybody say yes. And I know that you all know that person is our current president, President George Weah. How do I know that? How did I come to this conclusion? It is historical, in the looking at the history of the CDC. The CDC, even in 2005, when the CDC decided to put forth candidates, let's go to the history a little bit. Most of the candidates were selected on the basis of who we are wanted for the most part. I emphasize for the most part. And fast forward in 2011, we also got to know that many of the people that voted, that were voted upon on the, or who ran on the CDC ticket, many of them, for the most of them, were people who got the blessing of now President George Weah. At the time when he was the political leader, I believe he still is, something we'll talk about further on in the discussion. So that has been the history of the CDC. It has been this man, once he said that Paulita Weah, in the case of Paulita Weah, yes, they had a primaries, but the president choice was Paulita Weah, and so she became the nominee, the candidate for the CDC. And then in the case of John Weah, in the representative election that was held, yes, John Weah also became the choice of President George Weah. And because he was the choice of George Weah, automatically he became the candidate. And we know how that election ended, those two elections, how they ended. Maybe that speaks to the fact that President Weah is not as popular as he was again. And so the point we're making here is, what kind of political party is the CDC? Does the CDC has decision-making processes? Are there leaders in place through which all these decisions are channeled before they can arrive at a final decision? And this might not only be unique to the CDC. This is the case with most political parties in Liberia. So I'm not here only to beat on the CDC about how they go about making decisions when it comes to who becomes a candidate on their ticket. It is not only the CDC. You can also say that to the CPP. The CPP, in the election that brought Dillion to the Senate, the CPP had no candidate. They had no primary. They had no primary. Again, the CDC had no not the CDC, the CPP had no primary. There was no primary whatsoever in the CPP. So we can also critique them
on that. At the time, the CDPP made the determination as to who become their candidates. I'm talking about the representative election and also that of the Senate. Darros Dillon became their selection. How the selection was done up to now, we don't know. We were told that there was consensus, they made their selection, and that was it. That is unfortunate because the CPP too, has positioned itself as the alternative. And so even if you want to go by a consensus, even if you want to go by a selection, it must be open, it must be transparent. The processes leading to that selection or consensus must be communicated among the parties so that we will know that though this is not the usual primary we are used to, but there were agreed upon procedures that were followed in making that selections or that decision through a consensus. That did not happen. We saw Telia Ure as the candidate for the CPP for that representative or opening for which we had that election. And mind you now, at the time these two candidates on the CPP side were selected, we had Honorable Benny Nayure as the chairperson for the CPP at the time. Interestingly also, given that Benny Nayure was the chairman, we saw his daughter. Can you imagine? We saw his daughter as the candidate for the CPP. Now, the reason this is important is, had there been a primary where they had encouraged political participation and had Telia Ure won, no one would be in a position to criticize Benny Nayure or the CPP for putting in place a process that resembles nothing like a so say one, so say all kind of show. But today, we have reasons to believe and conclude that that was also a complete so say one, so say all kind of show that happened in the CPP. He was the chairperson. His daughter was selected. How she was selected was not communicated properly to the Liberian people. It was not open. We don't know how all those things happened, but she became the candidate. I know somebody might be saying that, whoa, that resembles that attractive political war that is ugly, also called nepotism. How? Because Benny Nayure did not do himself a favor yet as a leader at the time. The CPP also did not help itself by trying to project an alternative image that the Liberian people can believe in. Our political processes in our country must be transparent, they must be communicated. All parties involved must be given the same level of participation. The field must be plain and must be clear, and the rules should be defined and made known to all the parties involved so that people can trust the process, so that the leaders will not be accused of taking side or operating on the so say one, so say all kind of operation. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Ansony Sieh. I'm going to do my commentary for about maybe 35 minutes, and then I will open the phone line for you people to come in. Again, our topic is the 2020 Senatorial election, the CDC. That's what we are talking about today. But the fact that we're talking about CDC does not mean that we are not going to bring in other variables so that to give this topic a broader and comprehensive understanding. Because all the political parties, they have a role to play, and we are demanding that their role must be transparent, must be open, so that Liberian people can trust the process. But the emphasis will be on the CDC. And the reason I have formatted this show this way is because the CDC that owns Montserrado County, as the CDC has claimed all along, is having a hard time of deciding a candidate. That is so telling. I repeat, the CDC is yet to decide a candidate. We have pretty much about 4 to 5 months to election. The CDC does not have a candidate as yet. What does that say about the CDC? And what we also hear is there are multiple candidates that have been talked about. The short list, be it official or not, we have that in our possession, and we will be going through that list one by one. And we'll also be asking why is it that other names are not mentioned? We want to know because the CDC, they say they have this thing. Montserrado County is their stronghold, right? So they should by now be able to make a decision to tell us that they have a candidate, because the CDC want to see Darius Dillon defeated so bad. If there is one person the CDC criticizes more than any other person, it's Darius Dillon. Darius Dillon is more like the nightmare for CDC. Even at the time, CDC lawmakers who are in the Senate told the very 6,500 operational fund, all the CDC folks, the apologists, the supporters, they could not criticize a single senator from the CDC for taking that same so-called operational fund. You know who they went after? They went after Darius Dillon. That guy is a thorn in their flesh. They want to beat him so bad. And so you would think that that decision as to who becomes your candidate will be so easier. It will be swift. And then they will be able to sell that candidate, given that economically things are not in their favor because the economy is bad. People are hurting. And so people want change. That is the history in any election. When things are not good, when the people are suffering, the thing that comes to their mind, that which comes to their mind is change. And that change will mean the person or the party that is not in power. And so CDC have a huge tax on hand. And so you will think that the CDC will have a candidate right now. But let's see who are the CDC candidates. Who are the CDC candidates? But maybe before we go to the CDC candidates, let's further define the CDC. So if the CDC, from our definition, does not fit the traditional meaning of a political party in terms of decision making, and I said also that it's not only with CDC, the same can be said about the ANC. The same can be said about the Liberty Party. The same can be said about the AFP. Least to talk about Prince Johnson Party. In Prince Johnson Party, he is the king. He decides what happens. He decides who becomes this and the other. All right. But for Prince Johnson Party, for the most part, we hear about him running for the presidency, and it will always be him. So that one is a clear cut. But let's talk about the ANC. The ANC, is the ANC also operating as a political party? Or is this same so say one, so say all mentality creeping in this ANC? Well, some people believe it is, because like the CDC, the ANC also has a political father. They have a political leader. So the whole thing about political leader, where is it coming from? Well, maybe it's just a choice of words, but again, to make somebody a political leader smells like that person is the political god. We had Councillor Brunskin, may his soul rest in peace. He was the political leader of the Liberty Party. Throughout the time he was politically active, no one ran on the party or ticket for the presidency. So Cummings came to the plate. Last election, he was there. The coming election, for sure, he will be the candidate for the ANC. For sure. So how can we change it? So if CDC is being criticized, I am criticizing the CDC. It has been, we are since 2005. We are. It will always be we are. Yes, in 2011, Winston Thomas came in, and because they were trying to pay, a kind of ticket that was going to attract more people to the CDC for them to win. So they brought in Winston Thomas. But many people in the party at the time, the history, were disagree that CDC make a decision for Winston Thomas to be the head on that ticket. And because of that, many young people in the CDC did not vote for Winston Thomas. That what led to their defeat or contributed to their defeat. And in fact, when the second round came about, CDC more and boycotted the election. And one of the reasons for which they boycotted the election, they did not want to see Winston Thomas as the candidate for the CDC. The CDC did not make that decision like this is the decision they made at the time because they felt that they needed to do so to win. It was not a conscious decision about whether or not they really wanted Winston Thomas, but it was a decision that was made because they were desperate to win the election. But that is all I have to say. But my point I'm making here is that after that 2011, what we saw President George Manawia, and the fact that he is president now, he is an incumbent. Of course, he going to be the candidate for the CDC in the upcoming 2023 election. Yeah, politically speaking, when you are an incumbent, it's almost like you are the presumptive candidate for that party, except somebody within a party decides to challenge the person who ran on a party ticket and now serving as president. All right, so let's continue defining political parties in Liberia. So, how can we best describe our political parties in Liberia? Saying I am propounding that the political parties that we have in Liberia are not really operating as political parties should be in their decision making. They have all these committees, executive committee. They have all the different leadership put into place. They have the power to elect, but once the head of that party, who they call the political leader, wants this person to be that person, that's what happened. And the people in the party will not care to challenge that. In the case of the CDC, from what I know, in the CDC, if you have been in the CDC or were in the CDC and you have dissenting opinion, and if you challenge anything that was contrary to what we are wanted or believe, you will be ostracized. The facts are there, except you don't know. But some of us, we had the opportunity to get to know these facts, and that's what happened in the CDC. If you dare go against Weah and disagree with President Weah, it is clear you will be placed in a different box. And whatever you want to see, all your political wishes and aspirations will not come to fruition in the CDC. That is a fact, and it cannot be disputed. What we see is that these things are also creeping in other political parties. These things are creeping in other political parties. Our political parties should not be should not be parties of strong men. Our political parties should be institutions that have clear cut measures in making decisions so that the decisions can be diversive and for many people to be able to feel that yes, they have a part to play in that political party so that their decisions can also be implemented in a party other than one person making a decision all of the time. So let's look at political parties further. Are our political parties saying, I am saying they don't operate like real political parties? Can we say now that our political parties operate more like courts? So the word court, we will define a for the sake of better understanding. What is a court? A court is a system of religion, of religious devotion directed toward a particular figure. I repeat, court is a system of religious devotion directed toward a particular figure. I know many of you have heard the word from most of our sedition friends, right? That CDC is a religion. CDC is a religion. And in most religion, most of all Liberians, we are religious people. You don't ask too much question. You dare not question the pastor. You dare not question the church. If you do, you will be ostracized. They will tell you the Bible says this, that's it. The pastor says this, that's it. Even in Africa, most people bow down to the pastors and worship them because they see them in their high place of authority and they dare not be questioned if you want to gain salvation. This has gravitated to our political parties in Liberia. Our political parties operate no different from courts. Courtism has become the practice of our political parties in Liberia. And that is sad because in all of our parties, I'm saying in all of our parties, it is about that one person, that so-called political leader, that everyone pledges loyalty to, and so they pledge without having any second thought that that person is not God and that they are all equal human beings in a political institution that should have one specific agenda for their country, and they should all be respected when it comes to decision making. But what we're seeing is, in as much as the person is the political father, that person has the bigger pockets, or that person is popular, that person makes the decision. The same can be said about the COP. I'm going after the COP. The COP operates more like a court. They have Mr. Herring Pedro Costa, who is the head of that institution. What we're seeing is that Costa will come live and out of something will pass to a man and he will say it. And the next thing you know, that becomes the decision of the COP. Because Costa said it's not debated nowhere. Everybody, yeah. Petro, that's it. And they go about it. So it is not only with our political party, this thing has creeped into even the pressure groups that are coming up that carry so much potential for change. But they themselves continue to repeat these kind of courtesan behavior. Our parties must change, and it is all of us responsibility to make sure that those parties change. And it must start with those who are claiming that they are leaders. These are the ones that should be able to tell the people they are leading that I am just the leader, but you, the people, you, the members, carry the greatest power. But that is not the case. Cinco fancy is part of it. But we are talking about courtesan here. Courtesan again. A group with strange beliefs and practices that can be sinister. A group with strange beliefs and practices. So let's look at some strange beliefs and practices in our political process for which I am making the case here in the political conversation that our political parties in Liberia and even leading to our pressure group operates more like courts or just like courts. It's because of the strange practices that we see. You go to a political party, we say we are practicing democracy. Democracy came from the Western world. If we are taking something to use it, we can modify it, but it should resemble that which we have observed and think is good for us and we want to practice it. We should do it. The CDC, for example, go to the party headquarters. Go and listen to a press conference. They will take about 30 minutes to sing songs. The slogans here and there, they will interrupt the speaker. At least do that thing for 2-3 minutes or 5 at most and let the speaker make their presentation and leave. But you will see the kind of dancing. They see the kind of dancing, singing songs that glorify their leaders. Is that why you see practice in America? Is that why you see practice in the rest of the Western world? Democracy, my people, is a Western thing. If you want to do it right. You can modify it to incorporate your culture a little bit, but to that extent that people will sing songs to worship their leaders. And these people call themselves public servants, that they want to serve the people, but the people have to serve them. When you behave in this way in your political party, when you get into government, you see the same thing. That is the case with the CDC today. All the people in the CDC, I've had the opportunity to interview some of them. By the time they come to be interviewed, the first words that come from their mouth are thanks to the president, His Excellency, Dr. George Malawia. What that nonsense for? What is that nonsense for? The president's responsibility is to appoint. You are a Liberian. It is your right to work in your country's government. You are providing a public service to your people. But these people feel that the president has done them this favor. And so they must call his name at all costs. And if they don't call his name, that means they have not done their job. Where you think that is coming from? It is coming from the political parties and is making its way to our government. So everybody who serves in the CDC government, when they are given the opportunity to speak, they will praise the president. They will tell you how good he is, how he the one appointed them, how without him they will not be able to serve at that particular position. That may be true, but the excessive praises is coming from what is being practiced in the political parties. Courtesan, the strange behavior and practices that we see in our political parties, that you got to worship the leader. He's the political leader. Whatever he says is final. No one should question it. No debate whatsoever in the political parties when it comes to decision making. Where are we going? Courtesan, a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. You hear that? A misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. Don't you see that? Don't you see how these partisans admire excessively their leaders, their so-called political leaders, their party chairman, their secretary? Don't you see how they admire them excessively? These people are individuals like yourself. When you get into politics, it's public servant. You are serving the people. The people are your bosses. So you, the leader, should be submissive to them and serve them. But we don't see that. Somebody might be saying, but why is this guy talking this thing? I thought he said his topic here is about the election that is coming. When we're talking about election, people bring their values to a political decision-making process to elect a leader, and that leader in turn serve the people. And the political parties the individuals are coming from, I am telling you, the way they conduct themselves, when these people come to power, they will behave the very way they are behaving in their very political parties. Don't you see that in government today? Don't you see that? And their courtesan behavior is not only unique to the CDC. Let's go back into history a little bit. Let's talk about MPP. Didn't you see that in the MPP when Charles Taylor was in power? Dr. Charles Gange Taylor, Dr. Charles Gange Taylor, who dare question Charles Taylor at the time? Whatever Charles Taylor said then was. No one dare question that. Let's talk about the LPP, the Liberian People Party. For the most part, Tipote was the one on the ticket. Let's talk about the UPP. Then it was just Gabriel Bacchus Matthew for the most part. Until these political people lost prominence, that was when now you saw other people coming in the midst. Sadly, what happened is because many of the people in those political institutions were tied to just individuals. Once those individuals leave the scene, those political parties die a natural death. Don't you see that? Do you not see that? And I am not forgetting about Unity Party. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Maybe you know more about her, but she was that political player who did everything to her political advantage. And if you dare challenge Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she will find a way to cleverly sideline you. And if she brought you closer, it was because of her political glorification to maximize her political power. And many people don't understand that. They think that, yeah, the woman, she's a genius. Yes, man, I agree, she's a genius politically, but how? Or in whose interest? In the interest of the people? In the interest of the country? Or in her own interest? I would say she has been a political genius in her own interest to expand her political tentacles. And that's why she does well. That's Ellen. And so this is unique to other parties, not only the CDC. My thing here is these behaviors must change. And that's the only way we can have elections that will produce people that will be accountable to the people. But in as much as these people hear their political leaders, the political leader made these kind of decisions. When they become elected, they're only accountable to the political leader and not the people that elect them. And I'm saying this must change. This must change. And these changes must always start with our election hearing. I hope I'm making sense now, folks. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. AD, you are watching our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Ansony Sieh, your host. Let me progress here so that I can open the phone line quickly for you to come and participate. Now, let's come to the meat of the thing. Now that I have given you some history, of how things have been happening within our political party, let's come to the meat of it. We're talking elections, right? We're talking about Montserrado County. And earlier, I was telling you about, why has the CDC not named a candidate? All right. So let's talk about some names that have been floating in the CDC, and those names we will look at them and see whether or not they are any match to the CPP candidate. I will say or Darius Dillion, because he's incumbent for sure. Dillion is running. He made it clear. Dillion will not be in that position and want to step aside, of course. So let's see, who are the CDC candidates? Who are the CDC candidates? We heard about Wesley Tapper. What is Wesley Tapper's record? I believe, if my memory serves me right, Wesley Tapper might have contested 2 times in that very Montserrado County. He got defeated massively. At that time, Wesley Tapper, quote unquote, has had a favorable name, in terms of elections, the professor, who, I don't know if he's still teaching at the University of Liberia, not many bad things were known, or political minuses were on his political resume at the time. When he contested, I believe, something tells me 2 times. I'm sure of one, but something tells me 2 times. And he got defeated. That was when I am saying Wesley Tapper had a favorable name recognition in Liberia politics, all because he had not had the opportunity that he had now. Opportunity meaning coming to the public land space in the digital age, where we see everything on camera, for us to know what he has been saying. Before then, Wesley Tapper, all we knew for the most part is finance minister. He was at the, I think, African Development Bank. He was a professor, and so he had that favorable name recognition. And yet he got defeated in Montserrado County. And now, in the day and age, technology has advanced. Cameras are all over the place. We can play your voice and hear everything you say and do. Can Wesley Tapper make it? We are talking about a rice distribution that Wesley Tapper is ahead of. They're talking about giving $9 million to the World Food Program for rice distribution. His knee has been dragged on the mob. And then we are also reminded about process in the country. He's the Minister of Commerce. Every time he comes with a laundry list of basic commodity prices at this level, they don't hold. Can he be trusted? Wesley Tapper also was seen at the Propo rice thing, and that, there was the Propo rice, they were going to sustain it. It was never sustained. The Propo rice disappeared. All we saw was his inspector general was seen in the streets of Monrovia selling rice and taking the money in her own hand. Something we have not seen in the Republic of Liberia before. For the inspector general of the Republic of Liberia, under the direct supervision of Wesley Tapper, to be selling Propo rice in the street, giving the impression that they would have sustained that, and they could not sustain that. Is this the man you think going to go into an election? Can CDC pull forth this man for him to be the popular Darius Dillion, who is considered the light? Can he? I don't think so. So if the CDC want to go with Wesley Tapper, let them bring Wesley Tapper. We also heard about Marybro. Why is CDC talking about Marybro? Is Marybro a sedition now? I thought she had been with the United Party. What happened? Where is Marybro? The last time I saw Marybro, she was in a blue t-shirt. It was CDC Blue Day. She was in that t-shirt. Is she a sedition now job because she's working in the CDC government? Does she literally have to be a sedition before she can work in the CDC government? You see our leaders, the people we call leaders, do you have to really do that? Can you not be able to survive without a government job? And even when you get one, the only way to maintain it is to wear a party t-shirt? But the thing is, we heard about Marybro as a possible candidate for the CDC. So the question is, can Marybro beat Darius Dillion? I don't think so. The CDC have to make that decision. Then let's talk about Jefferson Koji. Jefferson Tamakoji is another person the CDC is contemplating on filling. Can Jefferson Koji beat Darius Dillion? Your guess is as good as mine. What is Jefferson Koji's record in Liberia in terms of leadership? He has been serving as the city mayor for Monrovia. And what we've seen for the most part is complete demonstration of poor leadership on the part of Major Koji. For the most part, we had Monrovia infested with debt, stockpile of debt everywhere. Monrovia has been so stink, and the city has been looking so bad. And even when Major Koji decided to make a decision to clear people and use COVID-19 as a conduit, they did inform the people. They broke all their market structure down Wallaside, and some people had the audacity to praise him for doing that. They care less about how he treated the marketeers, most of whom voted for them anyway. They didn't care. All they want is let the place be clean. It could have been done better. Those people that he hurt, that his decision making hurt, you think those people are going to vote for him? Well, the Liberian, you can't trust the Liberian people when it comes to their CDC. Maybe that's their goal. That's the change they voted for. So maybe they will do it again. But I'm sitting here saying to you, a Koji against Darius Dillion is the choice the CDC needs to make. Let us not waste our time. Give us a candidate. You said Monrovia is your stronghold. Give us that candidate to go against Darius Dillion. We have Muna Nyomla. Muna is not well. We pray that the good old Lord grant her healing so that she can get back on the feet. Because you remember when Muna got well and went to Monrovia, she went on a media blaze talking about she's the mentee and I mean she's the mentor and Darius Dillion and other people that her mentee, and because she was not around, that while those dogs were barking and that she's here now, or the cats were running around and she's here now and all that big for nothing mouth. She did not even care about her own health. All she cared about political power. And she started to position herself that she would want to go against Darius Dillion. Dillion just play low on her. He didn't say anything negative to her. But again, we pray that the good old Lord grant her healing so that she can be well and come to the place. I love politics. It is all right to participate in a political process, but health comes first. Can the CDC go with Mona? And can Mona beat Darius Dillion? The CDC is talking about Akaros Gray. Gray, the big mouth man Gray. He carries himself as the giant, as the general in the CDC. If this guy is the giant and the general in the CDC, then why is the CDC wasting their time? Yes. Akara Gray is a horse who lives in Montserrado County because he has been in the House of Representatives for a long time. This is a second term, I believe, that he's serving. So he is a horse who lives in Montserrado County. He is a leader within the CDC, and he is a prominent seditian. Seditians love him, I will agree. So if the CDC is looking for a candidate and Akara Gray is shortlisted, why are they wasting time? Akara Gray goes after Dillion all the time. So Dillion, Akara, if you are man enough, talk to your man Bakube, let the CDC make that decision. You gave all a level playing field. Let's go into the political contest. Let the candidates be known now. And let the show begin. And so that the people of Montserrado can decide. Why are you wasting time, CDC? Give us somebody. Give us, the Liberian people, somebody to go against Darius Dillion. Polito Wie again is being rumored may be a possible candidate. Again, the CDC has not decided, but the question is, why is it taking the CDC this very long to do so? Polito Wie was massively defeated. Darius Dillion dragged her in the election, and she's the one you want to bring again. What she could not do at the time that she can do now, she could not beat Darius Dillion at the time Dillion had not made some political gains as a politician or as a senator. Dillion flogged her miserably. And now that Dillion had gone into the Senate, even though Dillion got some minuses, taking the operational funds, taking the 40,000 car, I consider those things as minuses, but yet Dillion is making some efforts. He is trying to distinguish himself among the senators. He's been able to point out something. Dillion's job has been easy. Disrupt. In politics, especially when you are seen as a minority, that's the best you can do. disrupt, and give the people the red meat that they need. Feed them with the protocol red meat. This is a game, people, not a game, people, not a game. Sorry for that word. Politics is not a game. It's a practice. It is an art. It is a science. You have to be able to practice it according to the codes of the science. And so I don't see how political will can make it. She could not beat Dillion when Dillion had not made any political gains in the Senate, and now she can do it. I don't think so. We have Menisie Kaba. My understanding that she's a minister at the general ministry. Not much is new of her. She was an advocate then when CDC was in political wilderness or in opposition. And since she came to power, we don't hear anything from her. She lost her advocacy dictionary. When will she find it to go against Darius Dillion, who is reading his dictionary every day? I don't think so. So then the other question is, we heard about, what's the guy named Thomas Fowler, I believe? I don't know anything about that guy. But let's talk about some other candidates you would think the CDC should be breaking forth. Some other candidates that the CDC should be breaking forth that they are not breaking forth. Let's talk about Chairman Mamba Molu. They call him the greatest chairman of all time in the political history of Liberia. That's what the CDC will tell you. And that's one of the things I was talking about, courtesan. You worship the man. You made a big mouth. And sometimes when they're introducing him, they're talking about the man from Mount Everest and blah, blah, blah. I wish I would be doing all that. Political nonsense. It amounts to nothing. It just shows that you are practicing courtesan and not running a political party. Because you express the excessive love and admiration for an individual. And that's all you do. And that's the definition of courtesan. I'm sorry, folks. That's the meaning of the word. And you are practicing it. Of course, it suits you. You must wear it. There's a saying that if it barks like a dog, then it is a dog. That's what I'm saying, folks. So, names like Mamba Molu should be floated around. Or maybe because Mamba Molu had that liquor talk, right? Maybe somebody who talk liquor talk can run. Why not? I mean, he's the biggest chairman of all time. So liquor talk means nothing. The man talk the liquor talk, he's still chairman. So why, despite the liquor talk, he can't be a candidate and be Darius Dillion? The president said liquor talk, the liquor talk. So if this man, all he said was liquor talk, put him on a ticket. I mean, you always made a decision, Mr. President, for the CDC, or you decide, who becomes the candidate. Sometimes they pull out a fake primary process, but the decisions are already made. We will tell them, vote for my candidate, boom, everybody will go and vote for that candidate. Why not Mamba Molu? Mamba Molu does not have a job in the government. It's not that he doesn't want a job, but he could not get what he wanted. He ran as a representative before. Yaka Koluba dragged him in that district, I believe. And so this is a man that has political interest. He has political ambition. He wants to be somebody in the Liberian government. I would think the best opportunity is here. Darius Dillion is the guy to say he's nothing. He's not the change agent he claims to be. And that CDC that represent change can beat him. Go and beat him. Use Mamba Molu, the largest or biggest chairman ever in the history of Liberia. According to you, the CDC. Put him on and give us the Liberian people a better political contest. Let us enjoy it in the political theater. That's what we want. That is democracy. Give it to us. You are the leader of the country. I'm talking about CDC. You are in power. So give us a political contest that will grow our democracy, that will enhance our democracy, that will show that Liberia is making progress democratically. Give that to us. Let's see it. And let the election be free and fair. I'll be touching that also. So what now also Wilhelmina Piso-Sedita? Wilhelmina Piso-Sedita is the current Minister of Gender. In CDC, they refer to her as the Mendiba. She is the mother of the revolution. She is widely known within the CDC. She has close ties with President Weah because of her leadership role in the party for a long time. She's been in the party. So she knows President Weah personally. I believe they talk frequently. She has access to him. So give her a name of that nature. Because when you do so, you will be giving us a political contest that the people of Montserrado County deserve. I'm talking about Mary Bro, Mona Peno, Polita Wiewu of Flor, Jefferson Koji. These people can make it. Give us names. You have the names you claim. So why now you're Mendiba? Why now the mother of the revolution? Because CDC, from what we see now, is struggling in their own so-called stronghold called Montserrado County. CDC is struggling to beat Darius Dillion. They are looking everywhere. They're throwing everything at him. So bring your greatest weapons. Give us your biggest name and give us a political contest. Or give the Montserrado people a political contest that they can enjoy to enhance our democracy. But you hiding the big names and bringing small potatoes. People who have many political minuses in their closet. These are the people you want to put against the Montserrado people light. They call him, they say Dillion is the light. Whether he's the light or not, many of you people will decide that. Some people call him the Chinese light. Whether he's a Chinese light, but from what we see so far, from my observation, that Chinese light is shining more than even the LEC that we have in Liberia. Because the other day, the people blocked the road, they were protesting because they said they have not seen light for so many months. But the little light, the Chinese light that Darius Dillion is carrying, is shining in the Senate. We're hearing a lot of things. So if the CDC is serious about this contest, let them give us somebody. Because the guy who they say carrying the Chinese light, they're throwing everything at him, he's still shining that little Chinese light. The Liberian people can see in the Senate now what's happening. I'm not campaigning for Darius Dillion yet, but I'm telling you what is unfolding. I am not campaigning for Darius Dillion. I am only making an analysis, and to give you a better analysis of the issue, I'm going to compare both sides for you to be able to decide. So the Chinese light is shining in the Senate. The Liberian people can see what's happening. But the CDC providing electricity through LEC, some communities are not getting light. They are demonstrating. You think those people are going to vote for the CDC? Darius Dillion Chinese light remains consistent in the Senate. Even though there are some missteps there that I can talk about, the $6,500 so-called operational fund. He said he had regret about it. The $50,000, $40,000 car, something he said way back that he would not have taken. He took it anyway. He was with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, even though he resigned, but he said he was eating a gravy with them, and he left. But that's another thing. All right. And so the CDC need to man up here and give her a candidate. Do they not have a candidate? So another factor we want to talk about here is the Avak Tuba factor. Mr. Avak Tuba served as chairman for CDC USA for 4 years. He had 2 terms. He is still a seditious. He's a leader in the party, especially in the CDC USA. He has been exploring to run in Montserrado County. And after his exploration, he made a decision that he will be running in Montserrado County as a candidate. So right now, he is an aspirant for the Montserrado County Senate seat. He is still a seditious. He has not resigned from the CDC, but yet he has made it clear that he will be running as an independent candidate. So this man, Mr. Ava Tuba, or Chairman Tuba, is a seditious and he's running independent. What does that say about the CDC? This is a long-standing seditious, long-time standing seditious who served his party, who could not even get an appointment. He stayed a seditious. He wants to run in Montserrado County, and he is not running on the CDC ticket. He made it known that he will be running as an independent. What happens then? Why can't the CDC use him? He's one of those persons in the CDC they see as a leader. He is known in the CDC. He has the credentials in the CDC, as we know. And so what? Can the CDC use Asif Atuba? But Asif Atuba is running as an independent, though he remains a seditious. Why? CDC, you need to get this thing together. And to Chairman Asif Atuba, to Mr. Asif Atuba, you need to tell us whether you are a sedition or not. It does not speak well, though it is your right to decide how you contest for a position, but in no way does it speak right at all politically that you stay a member of the party and then you're going independent. It means that you are going against your own party. I don't think it smells right politically. So you need to decide. If you don't want to be associated with the CDC, which your decision to run independent suggests, then you need to distinguish yourself from the CDC. The other day, Mr. Tuba was on Seku's show along with Joe Jackson and Chairman Zakama. Zakama also having to be a chairman of the CDC, serve as chairman of the CDC. And as if Tuba was given the opportunity to say whether or not he shared any regret for selling what Seku termed as a byproduct to the Liberian people. But that Seku meant that they campaigned for George Weah. They sold George Weah to the Liberian people. They told the Liberian people George Weah was the alternative, was the choice, was the man of change. And George Weah got elected. And now many people believe that what they see today is not what was sold to them. We see now is a different Weah. They told all Weah was a man who had a country at heart. But from the decisions that we've seen, the building of structures, that's why people being hungry in the country, things that he was not doing before, the high economic situation in the country, people are dissatisfied. President Weah failure to prosecute people like Wambo Dike, a guy who is a fake Nigerian. He maintains him at the LACC. This guy lied to Weah. He lied to the Senate. He lied to the Bar Association. He lied to our immigration system. He lied to the University of Liberia. This guy is not a Liberian. Court records, every record in the country has proven it, that this guy is not a Liberian. And yet, President Weah, who found the courage to withdraw his nomination from the NEC, because President Weah had appointed him to be a NEC boss. President Weah withdrew that guy nomination on grounds that his citizenship remains questionable. President Weah withdrew him. And the reason also was that because to be a commissioner for NEC, the National Election Commission, you must be a Liberian. And because his Liberian citizenship came into question, President Weah withdrew him. President Weah is also aware that to be boss of LACC, you must also be a Liberian. But yet President Weah maintains this guy at LACC. These are the kind of decisions President Weah continues to make that shows clearly that he has no interest in prosecuting people who lie, who commit a crime, and who violate our laws. He's still keeping that guy at that job. If there is nothing that have said anything about President Weah, this is one that says something about him. So he's not the person who they said was for the people. He can't find a Liberian to put in that position up to now. He doesn't care what the Senate says. He doesn't care what his advisors say. He doesn't care what the Liberian people say to him. All he cares about is that as a man, he will maintain him, even though it's against the law. So, Ivar Tuba is running as an independent, or will be running as independent. He's an aspirant. He remains a sedition. If CDC is looking for candidate, it is clear now that Avatuba has interest in that position. Use him. It's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do, but he is part of you. He's one of your own. He's one of the qualified. So use him. Or if you can't use him for some other protocol reason, maybe personal or not, find somebody and give us a protocol contest. Start wasting our time. Darius Dillion from the CPP is really. He's waiting. So, since we're talking about election, folks, coming to open the phone lines now. So finally, let's talk about the next boss. President, we are now nominated David Etta Brown Lusana as the current next boss designate. What we know about her is that she has impeccable experience, a great experience in electioneering. She's been around the election commission for some time. She has considerable qualification. We are told from some sources within the election commission that she's detail oriented. She's somebody who will follow some details or the details. In she will. She's somebody. Sorry, folks, I was looking at something somebody sent me. She's somebody who will follow some details, and she has been a long time journalist, or she served as a journalist for some time. Our understanding is that she's a veteran broadcast journalist. She was for LBS, she worked for Star Radio. She also worked for the Talking Drum Studio. She worked in the United Nations Circle. She was working for Unmail. She holds dual bachelors from the University of Liberia prior to the war. And even after the war, she went and got another degree, which is a master. So this woman, if we're talking about experience, we're talking about credentials, she has the credentials. And people who know her are saying that she's somebody who will follow through, a working process. So that's the person the president has nominated. Now it's left with individual now to decide whether or not Liberians should allow the election to go on with her. Yeah, Liberian bar Serena Cephas, because of the way he behaves. The guy has never won a case saying he became Solicitor General for the country. Every case there was or is, he has been dropping charges, which shows that he's now up to the task when it comes to prosecuting people of corruption. This guy was the head of ARIET, the Assets Recovery, Restitution, and Investigative team that were constituted by the president. They told us that they were going to recover about 1 billion US dollars stolen supposedly by former government official. These guys did not retrieve a dime that they reported. Maybe they did, but they have not reported anything to us. But what is clear is that the institution is no more because they spend money on them. They can't even recover anything. They have nothing to offer the Liberian people. So when his name was floated around that President Weah was set to nominate him, people raised alarm. So the president went and took a detour and then appointed David Etta Brown Lusana. I know Lasana. Yeah, I think it's Lasana. So she is now the other thing we know about her is that they say she has a strong ties with President Weah. And others are inferring that their tie is so strong that it smells like something that's significant other. That's the juicy part about it. You are all adults listening to me. I think you know what that means. Again, she has very strong tie with the president. She's somebody who is in the president corner. The president is in her corner. There's a very, a special relationship with the president that looks like somebody who is more like a significant other to the president. That is what we were told from inside sources. How true is that? We don't know. We're just sharing with us why we were told. But also she had a relationship with the former boss of the National Election Commission. So that is why we know about her. Now you can make your decision whether or not you should sell Liberia as eighth boss for the National Election Commission. On that note, folks, I'm opening my phone line right now. I'm opening my phone line right now. Give me a moment. The phone lines are opening, by the way, but let me put the number on the screen so that you can see it and participate. So you can see it and participate. There you have it, folks. There you have it. It is time for you to speak now or forever hold your peace. Again, folks, in cyberspace, the program you've been listening to is for the hour of politics. Here, focus on Liberia. Low on the screen right there, I believe you can see the phone number. The phone number is right there for you to see. That number is 605-313-6004. And you also want to enter the code 719403 pound. The number is right there on the screen. I have the number on the screen right there after the hour of politics. After the second star, you will see that the phone line is right there. You can call. You can call the phone line quickly. The number again is 605-313-6004. Call and let us hear from you. It's your time to talk to us. And while I'm waiting for calls, it is important that I bring the part in also. Many people are suspecting or are thinking that CDC is trying to play that same game again. I don't know how true this one is. I don't believe that, but it's a conversation that going on in some quarters that the CDC is trying to play the same game that they play when the guy who won in the recent Montserrado County representative election, that guy clearly we got to know he was a sedition, except that he was not the choice of CDC. CDC told John J. Weah, but this guy, he contested as an independent, though a sedition. He was not certified that CDC as a party decided in favor of John Weah, and that was a decision CDC made because John Weah became George Weah's choice, and some of the leaders didn't like that, in fact. But that's the same one man show business we're talking about in our political parties. All right. There was not a solid primary that was done. John Weah was handpicked and he became their candidate. So they're almost surprised somebody who had been a long-standing member of CDC beat the CDC chosen candidate in that election. And so after that, CDC came by and said, oh, our strategy worked. We had two candidates in the race. So did their strategy actually work? To some extent, somebody must say because the guy was sedition anyway. But we can say that that was not their strategy that, hey, let's put two persons in the race. The guys were ostracized. They didn't want him to run on the ticket because he was not the choice of the president. The president's choice was John J. Weah. And so even some seditions who had serious problem with that decision, they had no choice other than to say, okay, the president has decided, and that's the thing I'm telling you, that the way the political party operates will always give a leader who will resemble or do things the way they do it in their party. And the way they do things in their party, those things, the way they do them don't represent our country. So if we're looking for better leadership, we really need to look in the parties and demand changes within those parties, that those political parties are not tied to individuals, but there are leaders in there that decision processes are thought through thoroughly, and those decision processes are followed, and that the decisions that come from the political party will represent the wishes and aspirations of the people, and not just a strong man within that party who now they refer to as political father or political leader. So, folks, the number is on the screen there. You can call here, focus on Liberia. Let us hear from you. Let us hear from you. So, as I was saying, some people are saying maybe that's the game the CDC is playing with Alva Tuba. He's a sedition. He has now resigned, but he's running independent. If the CDC put another candidate in there, and let's say that person wins, the CDC has gained the seat back. Or if Alva Tuba wins, the CDC also will have gained the seat back because Alva Tuba for now remain a candidate. Remain a sedition. So until he can resign from the CDC, maybe people who are making this observation may have a point here. All right. So, folks, let us hear from you here quickly. Let us hear from you. If you want to participate, the phone lines are open for you to call. I will wait for the next 4 minutes. If no one call, then I will be shutting it down here quickly. This is Focus on Liberia. I'm Ansony Sieh hosting, and the program you are watching is the Hour of Politics, and we have been talking about the Senatorial election in Montserrado County for 2020. We are looking at who the CDC candidates uh, are. I mean, who are the possible candidates? Who may be a possible candidate for the CDC? We have a short list of individuals that we talk about. Will the CDC go with any of those names that have been floated around, as a potential candidate for the CDC? Will the CDC do that? So we want to look at that. So folks, again, I'm waiting for your phone calls. If you don't want to call, then very quickly here, I will be shutting the broadcast down. Maybe you enjoy the conversation here, and you care not to participate, which is okay. Many of you have also commented. So while I wait for phone calls, let me see if I can read some candidate, some. So and then while I'm waiting for somebody to call, let me address the Ava thing further. Earlier, I was trying to talk about Ava Tuba was given the opportunity to apologize to the Liberian people, and Ava Tuba did not apologize. Ava Tuba, the many leaders in the CDC campaign for Joshua, they sold Joshua to the Liberian people. In leadership, when you make a decision, when it is not going the way you anticipated, you have to take responsibility. That's why we know. Unlike Ava Tuba, Chairman Ato Zakaman, who also is a chairman emeritus in the CDC, on that same show with Seku, took responsibility. He apologized openly to the Liberian people, many of whom he convinced. He campaigned for the CDC. He hoped, he wished at the time was that CDC or President Weah was going to come to power and lead the Liberian people in a way that they will be at least satisfied, but that is not the case. And for the fact that Liberian people are suffering, they are dissatisfied, they're going through all sort of things, especially when you look at the economy. Unlike Avatuba, Chairman Ato Zakaman of the CDC apologized to the Liberian people. He took responsibility. That's why we expected Avatuba to do, especially when Avatuba is running as a candidate. You want the people of Montserrado County to trust you. The people of Montserrado County, from all indication, are not happy with the CDC. That is why they lost the senatorial seat to Dillion. If the people of Montserrado counties were happy with what CDC has been doing since they took power, they would have voted for the CDC candidate. That is why the people of Montserrado County also rejected John J. Weah, who hence President Weah raised. They are not satisfied. So Avatuba, who has been with the CDC for this long, to be given the opportunity whether or not he can apologize to the Liberian people for selling a byproduct to the Liberian people, a byproduct here being George Weah, who is now leading by example, who is now leading in a way at least that meets the expectation of the Liberian people. I think he needed to apologize to the Liberian people. To apologize when, something you promised people, what you said to people that would have been the case is not the case. The right thing to do is to apologize. I'm sorry that things are not going the way I told you they would have gone. But instead, he justified. He justified that, yes, the campaign for the CDC, he campaigned for George Weah, but what happening today in the CDC government is not what he campaigned for. Then say it. Then apologize that what you campaign for is not happening. That the candidate you sold to the Liberian people is not leading the Liberian people the way you expected for him to have led the Liberian people or to be leading the Liberian people. He is not doing it. That is your assessment. Since that is your assessment and the facts are there to prove it, at least apologize to the Liberian people. But the only thing Chairman Tuba had to say was he empathized with the Liberian people. He holds no apology at all. He only empathizes with the Liberian people that they have to be going through all of these things, the Wambodike, failed promises here and there. You want me to need you, failed promises, Eton, Iboma, laundry list of basic commodity will come down, the gasoline shortage crisis, all the crises all over the place here and there. A slap in the face of the Liberian people that they should shut up. The president is building mansions that he could not build even when he was playing football. He could not build 47 units in Liberia. When he had the so-called 87 million, he could not. When he was senator, he could not. When he was Goodway ambassador, he could not. When Ellie appointed him to be something for which he was giving $500,000 in the budget, peace ambassador, I believe, he could not. Not until when he became president. What does that tell you? And we also know President we have refused to declare his asset. But he did in 2005, he did in 2011, and in all those declarations that were made public, we didn't even see $1 million US. We did not even see a single $1 million US. In no time, less than 3 months into the presidency, he breaking down the Nash Street building that was in ruin, dilapidated for several years and leaking. And he felt that was not enough. We heard about Jamaica Resort. Then we heard about 47 unit condominium. We heard about a movie theater. We also know about a church. President Weah could not build a church when he was playing football. Not until he became president. And the courtesan I talk about, Liberian Bay a statue for a less than 2-mile road. And in that statue that they built, Liberians are honoring it, they're lifting him up. They are worshiping him, forbidding them 1-mile road. And building himself 47 unit condominium, refurbishing his 9th Street, building Jamaica Resort, building a church, building a movie theater, even build a radio station. But because of criticism, has to give it to the Liberian Female Journalists Association. These are the decisions President Weah have made that undermine everything that the CDC claimed to have stood for over the years, and Chairman Tuba knows it. And the fact that he knows is anyone who have expected that at least to apologize to the Liberian people. That he told them that Weah will be up to the task, and Weah is not up to the task. What best can you do? And you are running in Montserrado County. You think you sit down there and say, oh, I empathize with the Liberian people. I empathize with the Liberian people. It said nothing. Those people are in pain. If you want to lead them, the first product you give them that seems to be a rotten product by all definition, by all measures, you should have the courage to tell them, I'm sorry, but I'm here now. I want to make it better. But he could not do it. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. I maintain my understanding that it is a right to choose to apologize and not to apologize. But is that the best strategy? I'm saying no. I disagree 110%. Chairman Zakama helped himself. He did not help himself. Zakama is not running for anything. The fact that Zakama has apologized to the Liberian people, the people now will understand that anybody can make a mistake. After all, he has hoped in Weah. He has believed in Weah. All seditions that he will be able to serve them or serve the country right when he becomes president. If it is not happening, what is wrong with saying I'm sorry? I didn't know my brother was going to behave this way. Most Liberians, the very people that voted, they themselves they are disappointed in Weah. Some of them, maybe most of them, they are disappointed in Weah. So if you tell them sorry as a leader who encouraged them, who introduced Weah to them, even though many of them knew Weah maybe before you, or they know Weah, they don't know you, but the fact that you provided leadership that led to his election, and things are not going the way you anticipated, and the signs that things will turn around seems to be bleak, at least you should be able to apologize. But Chairman Tuba twatted on that. He did not do so. I think it was unfortunate on his part, and he has undermined his own candidacy. I don't know what he's going to do to redeem himself. That was the greatest opportunity given to him. I will encourage him. Maybe it's not too late to do so. If he does that, the better it will be for him. But to say that he owes no one an apology, that's his right to say so. I maintain that. But someone who is hurting, somebody who is hurting, even though they might know that they made that decision. What's about the other people who did not vote for we are that are hurting, and you marketed we are? At least if he says sorry, they say, oh yes. At least he empathized with us. The fact that they are hurting is enough for you to say sorry. Because you marketed this product, the political product that you sold that was like ice cream, it turns to be bitter cola. So at least you should be able to muster that courage. Let me see if I have a caller, or as I am shutting this down here quickly. I have a caller on the line here. Let me go to my caller here quickly and bring my caller in and hear from my caller. Caller, you have the right to disagree with me. Caller, quickly, your name and where you joining us from.
Hi, my name is Joseph Jackson. I'm calling from Houston, Texas. I've been following the show. Just want to say thank you. I do agree with your analysis on your topic today when it comes to the politics and the political party of Liberia. And yes, indeed, those are the problems that we face today in our country. A political party is always ran by an individual. And because of that, we don't have a strong political institution in our country, Liberia. The moment that person is in power, after they have served their term and they have gone, that political party is dead. I cannot, and I stand corrected, remember any political party that has ever served the Liberian people, left power, and came back again after they were defeated and come back and take over power. I have not seen that, and I stand corrected. And my member is certainly right. So, yes, that's the problem we have in our country, Liberia. And also with the present situation today, why is it that the CDC cannot find a candidate to run on their ticket is because they have created this muster in not in a negative way for Dillion to say the honorable, I respect him, in the sense that he feels that hey, no one from the CDC can defeat him any longer, that he's the man. And it's so unfortunately to see that in the stronghold of the CDC for opposition who have a stronghold because he's from the Liberty Party from Gambasa County, you know, being walking out with his chest high, all being so proud that, oh, yes, there's nobody can defeat me. And he says that proudly. And I mean, I don't envy him for saying that because it was something that was created by the CDC leadership. And today they are finding it so difficult. It's so embarrassing that at this time, you got a few months to go for the election, December 8th, that up to now, the ruling party cannot come up with a name and it stays struggling with names who to run against Dillion is shameful. And I mean, I'm sorry to say, you know, what do you call it? My own brother, friend, Honorable Tuka is going to be getting in the race. I mean, he would have been a very good candidate for the party. But, I mean, as we all know, his differences with the president, I mean, the president is not going to, if it left with the officials of the CDC as a political party, they will want him to be on the ticket. But the president is not going to because he has the power. He has the final say. He select who to be on the party ticket. And you just gave a good analysis with District 13. What happened there with Mr. Weah? Yeah, he came from nowhere. This is a man that never regarded the president. He never had no trust in the president. He insulted the president. But when the time came, the president went there and supported him. And the people, that is the voters, you know what I mean, within the CDC in our district said, no, this man He's not part of us. This man insulted you. How can you bring this man on us? And that's why I see that's going to happen in this election. Because many citizens are going to vote for Alva Tuba as an independent candidate. And whosoever they're going to bring, because whoever they're going to bring is not going to be a true citizen. Maybe somebody who just joined or who just working in the government. They just have to put someone in there, because if not, they might not even feel a candidate. It's going to be like what happened in Grand Cape, the coalition. Because the thing is, we're only talking about the CDC, but there's a coalition. What happened with the NPP? So NPP can come out with anybody. What's about the other political party? But I'm telling you, and I know for fact, that they might not even feel a candidate in this race, and that will get Alva Tuba the chance to win this election coming December, because citizens are not going to sit there again to vote for Tyrus Dillion. Dillion knows very well that he won the election because of citizens who were angry, they voted for him, and those who decided not to vote. You know what I mean? So if they see that, hey, another scenario of what happened in District 13 going to come out again, those people are going to rally against Alva Tuba to vote him in. At least he will be representing, someone that they can relate to, someone that they know that they can relate to. So yes, your analysis are 100% correct, and I concur with you.
Mr. Jackson, thank you for your contribution, but I can't let you go without asking you the question. I know you personally. You serve in the CDC. Now you have resigned officially on our Seku's show. My question is, you and Alva were asked as to whether you would like to apologize to the Liberian people for selling George Weah to them as a political byproduct. And you and Alva Tuba did not apologize, but unlike you, Chairman Zakama apologized. Is that something you want to do now, or you still maintain your stand that you have no reason to apologize?
Okay. I have a lot of calls coming in. In politics, we have to be very, very careful. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, politicians do things because they want to be what they call it, politically correct, mm-hmm. or they want votes from people. Mm-hmm. The good thing is, and we just had a meeting yesterday, the three of us. Hello. When we were going for our interview, we did not have any prior meeting to say, hey, let us hang here, what we're going to say. We went in there as an individual. You understand me? Mm-hmm. So everything that we're saying that day, it was things that each one of us decided to say what we wanted to say that day. Mm-hmm. They never knew that I was going to resign officially from the party, because that's something that we never talk about. Have we discussed it with Chairman Tuba before that, hey, you running as a citizen and want to run as an independent?
I get that, but what I want from you is, I have a lot of callers waiting. Do you want to apologize to the Liberian people?
Yeah, the problem with me is that the problem with me with that question is this: I still maintain my position,
right?
Because for the fact that, look, why is true that, hey, I might have some disagreement with what is going on in the government, but I cannot sit here under no condition to say that, hey, I will sit there and discredit President Weah for what he did for Liberia.
Thank you. You didn't answer the question. Thank you.
To vote for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I still maintain my position. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Let me bring in this caller, Mr. Lobo. Quickly to the issue.
My dear friend and brother, the man Ansony.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Ansony.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for the platform. I listened to you. Brilliant analysis. Both we took our CPP beating too, and I took two beatings today. One from the CPP and one from the United Party. So at least I'm still surviving. But I think you raised some brilliant points. Since the senior brother just left the line, or Latita Jackson was on here, I think Latita Jackson owes me an apology, given what he said from the Liberian Destiny debater. I've told him that, and he needs to call me on that. But let's leave that. Let's come to some of the things you talk about this morning. I strongly agree with you on the issue of the CPP being different. And some of us have raised those concerns, and some of us have stated our position. I strongly believe if we believe that the CDC did not offer everyone the right to in the political dispensation, like you said, they were a coalition, but candidates were handpicked by President Weah. I don't think the CPP should resemble the CDC. We should be far or like the CDC. This is why some of us, we've been very, very clear on our positions. I am strongly for 100% an open, transparent primary process. I want all Liberians to be given the opportunity to participate. We can restrict it to saying that only members from within the CPP should contest the primary. That's fine. I will agree to something like that. But I don't want us to go ahead rewarding people, awarding counties and or different slots to them. Because here's my thing about it, Ansony. It is possible the United Party have Bond County, but maybe the candidate who's stronger in Bond County might not be from the United Party. He could be from the ALP or maybe the ANC. We don't know that. Putting them through a primary system will also allow the CPP to be able to assess its candidate's own strength and weakness, so that way when we get to the election, we'll be able to know what to do. So I think that's something we should do, especially in this DNA. We should not be handpicking people. We should not allow, because let me say one thing. I'll tell you for sure from what I'm sensing here.
Right.
You are going to have people crossing over to joining political parties now so that they can take advantage of those parties to run on their tickets. And what are we going to do when some of these people resurface come October or December? How are we going to go out there to go make the case?
With Sano Johnson trying to come to the CPP.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, I'm from the CPP, so I can't be the one to just be bringing all the clothes outside, but I know you guys will do a very good job of bringing those dirty clothes outside for us. And I'm not going to be in a position to defend that type of judgment. I'm not going to be here to sit down and say, oh, that was the right call. Oh, I'm not doing that. Because as far as I'm concerned, Sandra Johnson have been in the house way too long and have zero legislative accomplishment to show for it, and now making her way to the CPP as a vehicle to get him back. Sandra Johnson have been in Congress for over 15 years, if my math is right, over 20. Because this guy was there even when Charles Sutter was president.
Yes.
So Sandra Johnson is no stranger to being in the House. There's no reason why Sandra Johnson been there all throughout. What has Sandra Johnson done from a legislative perspective? But Ansony, here's what I want to say. And you spoke on something very interesting. The issue of idol worshiping in the Liberian society.
Right.
I don't know if it is this slave mentality that the white man took to Africa. Our people enslaved themselves to these masters. They create a broke lawmaker who was struggling yesterday. You send him to Capitol building, the next thing he's not gonna call. People are not allowed to question his judgment. People can point out his wrong. We are supposed to kneel down and be worshiping and worshiping and worshiping. And I'm not going to be one of those people. And let me be very clear. If you think that hiding behind the CPP is going to get you back to Capitol building, you can rest assured that this other George Lobo, you are not going to have my support. When Ansony and them bring your dirty clothes outside, I will be the one to open it wider so people can know how dirty they are, and I will be the one helping them to hold it up. Because what you've done in the past should be the legacy you should be running on. If you've done anything, run on your legislative accomplishment. And to the CPP, please, the Liberian people deserve better. If we are going to be that alternative, we must begin to show it. This 2020 is a test for us. I want to say thank you, Sieh, brother, but you know my position. I'm making it clear. I am not going to support nobody. If I have my choice, I say vote them out. I'm not. You must be able to convince me based on your legislative accomplishment. The good thing about it, I know all of them and I know what they've done, so I'll be waiting for them to come and make the case. So running behind the CPP, good luck. Let the CPP score herself by bringing some of you people back.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sieh, brother.
All right. Let's bring in my next caller, Mr. Gakon Moa. Gakon, quickly.
How you doing, Mr. Sieh?
I'm doing well.
That's great. I have few questions in regards to we commend the lady that was just appointed to head the National Election Commission.
Right.
We hope that during her hearing I said we were hoping that during a year, yeah, her her portfolio, what qualifies her to hold such a position. Like you said, she has a very close ties to the president, so that could be a conflict of interest with her being in that position, with the history of Liberia election and the unfair practice that just occurred in the last 2018 election or 2019 election, was that of the U.S. So we want to know why, George, we are putting somebody in that position that has such a close, according to, some of the statement that you made. And then in relationship to Azerbaijan, we have to be clear and we have to be fair. Azerbaijan cannot take the record of taking George Weah to the presidency. The reason Ato Zakama apologized, he was the chairman at the time, and he was responsible for George Weah's presidency to the Republic of Liberia from the USA. So if you're saying that Azerbaijan, because I know everybody want to stick on that topic, yes, Azerbaijan was a key instrumental part of CDC USA from its birth. He led CDC, for 2 election circles. And from in my record, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but other than that, Ato Zakama from Minnesota, he was the one that was responsible. So he may have been right personally for apologizing, because even after the election, when he went to Liberia, I think I was in Liberia with him during that time, he was actually deciding and he was regretting why Liberia is the way it is. So he was right for apologizing, but we cannot hold Azerbaijan responsible and say he has to apologize. If that's the case, then we need to go after every elected officials that we supported, and ask them to apologize for making Liberia the way it is. Some people yell Dara's Dillion. What is he doing that impacting the life of people that live in Montserrado? What legislation has he passed? What bacon is he bringing to Liberia or in Montserrado that improving the lives of Liberians?
Mr. Moore,
why is it that hospitals are still bad?
Mr. Moore,
Yes,
are you on
I'm
the
listening.
Ava thing?
Of course, I support any brilliant Liberian who wants to lead Liberia.
Then, if you are on the Ava thing, I will ask that you find time and come on focus on Liberia, so we can talk about Ava Tuba as an aspirant and a candidate to be, and then we can talk more. I have made my analysis, and I think you have made yours, that he's right to not apologize, but I'm saying he's wrong to have apologized. I think we both have made our point. Maybe we can have a show on that to go
No,
into
but
that.
you have to be fair though. Can you be fair to your audience? Was he the chairman that took him to presidency?
That
No,
does
right?
not excuse him.
George Weah
That
lost
does
on the
not excuse him.
Advocate twice.
He has been a leader in the CDC. You know him. I know him personally. I might even argue with you that I know him more than you know him. I can tell you that. I know Ava
Okay,
Tuba more than you know him. I can argue that. And I am telling you, Ava being a
okay.
friend to me, I'm saying that was a missed opportunity on his part to not have apologized, because apologizing would not have taken anything from him whatsoever. It would have shown the empathy he talked about. You see your people suffering, you sow a candidate to them, things are not going their way, they are hurting. The simplest thing to do, in my opinion, is to apologize, something that would not have taken anything from him. But to maintain that maybe he's just one person who voted and there were thousands of people that voted, and so he doesn't have to apologize. And if he apologizes, then we have to ask other leaders to apologize who campaigned for others who did not do well. That justification, I don't think it speaks well politically for him. And if you are on his team, that is something you should be able to tell him. I made a decision to say it publicly because he had a public opportunity to do so and he didn't do so.
And which is understandable, but when times come, when the campaign comes, when campaign season opens, we will have the rightful answer to be able to to be able to knock down some of those claims, because at the end of the day, if we all are aiming for the best of Liberia, and he's supporting a candidate. If candidate chooses to do something different other than the platform that he stood for, then you can't say you want him to. He's not apologizing for that
All right,
platform. The plan that he had. That's what
Mr.
people did
Moore, you
not
guys
listen.
will have time, or Team Ava can come here, and they can make the case. This is Focus on Liberia. By the way, Mr. Tuba is no stranger to Focus on Liberia. He has a program that runs on
Of
Focus on
course.
Liberia every Thursday. Many of you have seen him with me. That's how I am. If you are my friend, if I know you, if I disagree, I will say it, and I will say it the way I see it. And in my opinion, that's the best way to show somebody the way, and that's what I have done. So thank you, Mr. Moore. Your
Yeah,
final
we
thoughts.
understand that. Thank you for the constructive criticism, and we are preparing.
Mhm.
I was listening to the show just like you, and we're preparing to change the political trajectory in Liberia, because no more should we sit in the diaspora and allow people, greedy people, keep running, offices and running it poorly in that country. So
That's
thank you.
true. That's true. That's true. All right. Thank you, Moore. It remains a
Okay.
debate. Apologize. Don't apologize. He campaigned for his candidate. His candidate was elected. Things are not going well. Why should he apologize? He's not the one doing the job. Other people will argue. But I'm arguing. At least say I'm sorry, because my expectation was that things were going to be better than that. I'm sorry that things are happening that way. What is difficult about that? Let me bring in this caller quickly. Caller, your name and where you're calling from. Your phone number doesn't appear at all, so I don't know. Yeah, caller quickly.
Hey, hello, Ansony.
Yeah, who is this? Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That is the state. My name is Dave Ja.
Oh, Mr. Dave Jar, welcome to the Hour of Politics. Let's talk some politics. What on your mind?
Oh, great, great, great. You are on fire this afternoon, and I'm enjoying it.
That's it.
You know, so thank you for the for the analysis, and then for your thought provoking arguments that you are making.
Right.
A few things I want to speak about as well, especially when you talk about the political courtism that is existing in Liberia.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And you find out that it's also a reflection of most of our institutions. It's a reflection of what we have in Liberia as a government, where we crown this one person called president, give them all of the powers, and especially the power of the resources of the country, and the president dispense those resources for their own advantage, for their own political aggrandizement.
Mhm.
They use that to buy political loyalty. They use that to just, to some extent, just enslave the rest of the country, while those who support them get the benefit. And until we can change our institutions, we can change the way we do things, I don't think that is going to change. But specifically on the political courtism, I think I continue to maintain that there is a theory about that. If we Liberians want that to change, I think we should begin to take hold of our own political institutions. We should fight, work hard to play a very important role in the political process. And what does that look like? We have to be involved in the decision-making process. We also have to be involved with the financial aspect of those political institutions. Because what I've noticed, and you made reference to the LPP, which I will come to if I have time. I thought the LPP could have been one of the very fewest institutions in the country that could not fall to political courtism. And this is what led to the disintegration of the Liberian People's Party.
Right.
And the reason is that even if we refuse to adapt that courtism that you spoke about, if we refuse to adapt that kind of culture, we, the Liberian people, or members of those political parties, have to take the next step to gain the independence of that political party from those who want to own the party. And how do we do that? We have to invest in that political party so that it can be transparent, so that it can be broad-based, so that the membership can have a decision to make in the government process. But if we sit back and allow a single person to invest in that institution, use their whatever resources or their money, or we claim that this person has all the resources and therefore they should put the responsibility of that party, that political party will not have any independence to exercise.
Fair point,
because
Dave.
it will always fall prey to the individual that sponsors it. So we have to contribute. So on the case of the LPP, the Liberian People's Party, which I was like, for the most part, I think that's the only political institution that I really admire from the very beginning. The reason was that people could not fall to the political courtesan that was existing in the party.
Right.
But what we all failed to do was that we did not put our money where our mouth is.
Right.
So the independent, if individuals will contribute, if we can be part and parcel of that process by contributing, because these institutions need money to exist. They need money to establish headquarters for them to field candidates. So if we don't do that, the one individual that has some money, that has some resources, will just come take over the party. And then we have no voice.
Thank you,
They
Dave.
will
Thank
reward
you. Fair
jobs,
point,
or they will reward whatever to those who dance to their caprices.
Right.
So we Liberians have to take that initiative. Okay. And on the issue of people apologizing, I think we should begin to take responsibility of our judgment, of whatever we have participated in. And that was the same thing even with the TRC. It was just a simple thing that most people could have done, like, Liberia, I'm sorry for what happened. There was an error in my judgment. I didn't know that things would.
Oh, what happened? What happened? I lost. Oh, my phone line went off, folks. I'm sorry. My phone lines automatically went off here from my end. I am a T-Momo subscriber, and T-Momo has been having issues. And so many of you out there might know that T-Momo has been having a lot of issues. And the holder yesterday, I couldn't make any call. It got better this morning. And my phone line has, disconnected here. I don't know. So even though you are connected, but you are not into the system where the audience will be able to hear you. So I honestly want to apologize. T-Momo is the problem. So I'm sorry that we cannot continue with the phone line. So what I will do, I will read some comments. And after that comments, I will come to the end of the broadcast. Again, folks, the phone line automatically disconnected from the other system that will make the audience to be able to hear you. And so I'm sorry, I can't continue with the phone line. So let me read a few comments and then I will close the broadcast. I see my man Jimmy Eastman here. We're waiting to bring him in to make contribution. He calls in here all the time. Necessary arrogance all on him. Liberians, open your eyes and ears. I don't know who she's talking about. We are or who? Then about CO2, my brother, we having serial network problem in the United States, so you wouldn't have many calls. Yes, that's what the person is talking about. Let's say again, Dillion is delivering and up to the task. Let them bring all the Bugu men. We waiting. Talking about Dillion against the CDC, whoever the CDC puts up as a candidate. James Zion or Seeh writes, AD will win big time, my brother. Let me see. James Charlotte. Chairman Jackson is really living in a dream land. Your candidate can never win against ADD. Let me see. Gifler Bullet writes, I agree with you, George. That was when George was making comment. Benjamin Crayon, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Benjamin writes, CPP division of county is a mistake. Say I heard something like that. The CPP is contemplating on dividing the counties, that this party should feed candidates in that county, and that's what the viewer here is commenting on. I have Joe here. Joe Wright, my senior brother George P. Lobo. I disagree with you on some points. Disagreeing with George Lobo yet, which is good in the democratic process. Victor writes, Wheeler, I beg you, Costa is liberating himself. See the car he rides worth $100,000. Costa is riding a car worth $100,000. Wow. Okay. I don't know about that one. Mr. Ansony Sieh, are you saying that all the leaders in the CDC should apologize? Mr. Joe Jackson, it's an individual decision. All the leaders want to apologize, that's fine. You have decided not to apologize. I'm not taking you to tax, but if you want to contest in the political process, in which people you told that your candidate would do better, is not doing better, if they are hurting, what can you do? Can you give them food for them to eat, or should you apologize? It's an independent decision. Those candidates, those individuals who are not running for anything, they can choose not to apologize. Those who are working in the city center in appointment position, those who are still leaders in the party, they can decide not to apologize. Somebody might think that's okay. But if you are running for office and you want the people to vote for you, and your prior decision, they are not happy with it, and now you want to come there and change things, what can you do? Are you going to say, oh, I was one of those who campaigned for George Weah, so vote for me? Or you're going to say that I'm sorry that things not going well with the person I introduced to you. I'm sorry, but I have interest. I want to contest. I want to go in the House there or in the Senate so I can be able to help to make it better. What are you going to say, Chairman Jackson, if you can't say sorry? Again, I maintain it is your right to say, I don't owe anybody an apology. It was my right, or it is my right to decide my candidate. If my candidate is not doing what they're supposed to do, it's on them, it's not on me. You can make that decision. You can make that judgment. But whether or not it will help you, you will get to know in the long run. Some people, just by saying I'm sorry, can do a whole lot. And that is what I'm saying. All right. Those are the few comments that I have for now. My man Jimmy Eastman, I'm sorry. T Momo is having issue, so the phone lines got interrupted. So those are just some comments there that I just read. Let me see if I can read some more. I heard someone saying, A2, my dear, they say the president is so powerful in the area. I'm doing my little research to find out what it means. William King, focus on Liberia here, full disclosure here, right? What are the alternative candidates? I do not see any challenger. All right. Let me read a few more comments here quickly, and then I will call it a day. So far, I think that's all I can read. Folks in cyberspace, I want to say thank you so very much for following our broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. The program you just listened to is called The Hour of Politics. The Hour of Politics is the show that I host as your host. And I want to say thank you for joining our broadcast. The topic we discussed was more so about the senatorial election that is coming up in Montserrado County. The CDC has not been able to put on a candidate up to this time. They have so many people on their mind. They can't tell which one of them will be able to beat Darius Dillion. It seems to be that everybody is afraid. Even people who contested the senatorial seat in Montserrado County the last time. We're not even hearing anything about them. Is the ADD, Darius Dillion, is so popular, so powerful that no one can beat him. And so everybody's like, hey, I don't think I can venture into that territory. Even the CDC is yet to put on a candidate, except for Alva Tuba, who has made a decision that he will be contesting as an independent candidate, even though he's still a member of the CDC. But the CDC is contemplating about who they bring as their candidate. That is what we have also been discussing. And we also talk about political courtesan, how people in their political parties worship their political leaders as gods. And they decide who become candidate A and candidate B. How that is not a good thing, and all that contributes to how these people end up governing when to come to leadership. Again, folks, I want to say thank you. My name is Ansony Sieh from all of us here at Focus on Liberia. Mr. Dennis Jah, who is the leader of this platform. Other members of Focus on Liberia family, we want to say thank you for following our broadcast. We encourage you to always like our Facebook page so that when we are live, you can get a notification. We also have our YouTube channel that you can go to YouTube, just in the search there, search area, just type Focus on Liberia. You will see us there. Like our page so that when we are live, when we upload any of our broadcasts here, you will get a notification. Just in case you miss it on Facebook, you will be able to get it and watch it and learn from what we have to share. Also, our man William King, if you look in the last video, William King shared a link. We here at Focus on Liberia have our Focus on Liberia t-shirts that you can order for yourself. We're not selling it to you. We reach out to the vendor, the design is on their website, not on our website. If you like what we do here, we encourage you to go to that link and order your Focus on Liberia t-shirt and wear it. All right, that is how you support our work. All we want is that if you are traveling, going somewhere, going to a party, we want to see Focus on Liberia on you if you love what we do here. So when you spend that money, you are spending it for your own satisfaction, which is you love Focus on Liberia while you're wearing a t-shirt. We believe in that way you will promote what we are doing here. On that note, folks in cyberspace, we want to say thank you, and thank you enough for following our broadcast. We got news that the coronavirus cases are going up, so don't forget to observe all the protocol to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones. In all that we do, let us remember one thing, that we are all Liberians, and Liberia is our home. And this is the song that will be closing the broadcast. Thank you, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. USA, all we want. Liberia, oh. USA, all we want. Liberia, Liberia. Oh,